Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video we're going to talk getting started with Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and we're going to talk Ogor Mawtribes, and today we're going to talk Thunderbellies, one of the many sub-factions for the Ogor Mawtribes. And so in this video, we're going to start off by talking what exactly we get and what exactly we can do with an Ogor Mawtribes army that uses the Thunderbellies sub-faction, and then we'll look at units we can start off our army with to begin with, and then look at units we can then expand our army with later, when finally finishing off the video with a little sample 1000 point army list for you to use as some inspiration to get your own Ogor Mawtribes Thunderbellies army, or indeed any other Ogor Mawtribes army on the channel, on the table, which will be awesome. So with that all said, let's get talking about what we get with Thunderbellies. And so for starters, they're an Ogor Mawtribes army. So this means we're going to get the Maw-Pot, which is a terrain piece, though with the Beastclaw Raiders side, which Thunderbellies are of the Ogor Mawtribes army, you don't necessarily need a Maw-Pot, as you're only going to get that one use because there's no butchers nearby to sort of fill it up and use it and get extra abilities out of it. And so it's not a necessary purchase like so many of the other terrain pieces available to many other armies. You can definitely do without this and pick it up later as a little additional buff rather than something that's desperately needed for your army to work. You also get the other cool rules like the ability of Beastclaw Raider units to do mortal wounds to units near them, and then you've got Hungry and Eating to get extra bravery and extra movement. You've also got the abilities of Might Makes Right, where you counters more on objectives, and you've also got your impact hits there as well, doing mortal wounds when your units charge. On top of that, you've got the Thunderbellies sub-faction. So Thunderbellies' big thing that it gives you is the Swift Outflank ability, which is where your Mournfang pack units hold within 12 inch of the edge of the battlefield at the start of your charge phase can charge in the charge phase even if they ran in the same turn. And then you've also got the ability to get +1 to your prayer rolls for the Keening Gale prayer, which is pretty cool. And then you've got extra abilities, all of which just sort of give you extra movement abilities and really buff up and do more to sort of benefit your Mournfang. And you've also got the Shadowstone, which is a cool ability, an artifact that plays around with terrain and actually makes terrain around your hero deadly for your opponent, which is pretty cool. With all of that said, let's get checking out where we should get started for our Thunderbellies army. And so, where to get started? Well, I think the great place to start with for a hero option for your Thunderbellies army is the Huskard on Stonehorn. He's got a cool command ability that works really well with the Mournfang style army we're going to be trying to build. It's called Line Breakers. You can use this command ability at the start of the combat phase, and if you do so, you pick a friendly Mournfang pack unit that made a charge move in the same turn and is wholly within 12 inch of this model, using the command ability, and if that unit uses the Mournfang charge ability in that phase, add 2 to the damage inflicted by that attacks made with a tusk instead of 1. So this can really turn on those tusks attack from the Mournfang, which is the other unit I'm going to suggest you grab to start off your army. Mournfang packs come in units of 4, and they've got a couple of different weapon options. You can have the Clulling Cub or Prey Hackers, which are 3 attacks at 3s and 3s, no rend damage 2. And you've also got the option of the Gargant Hackers as well. The Gargant Hackers are 2 attacks only, and 4s and 3s, rend 1 damage 3. Now, normally I do think you want those better to hit rolls, but the fact that we've now got all our attack available to us and stuff like that, I really do think we get a lot of benefit out of the Gargant Hackers now, being able to be +1 to hit, so 3s and 3s is really nice. This is pretty cool, along with the ability to use Line Breakers as well. Now, because you can choose sort of what you want to do on the charge. You would certainly be going for your Mournfang charge to take those tusks up to a nice damage 3 on the charge. So you've got, you know, all up that would be 6, 4, 3, rend 1, damage 3 attacks. Suddenly that's looking pretty tasty. And then you would start just using the +1 to hit on your Gargant Hackers as if the fight progresses more than the first round. What's cool about Mournfang packs as well, coming in units of 2 means they enhance and get larger into units of 4, meaning you're not having to apply by the more restrictive coherency rules. So you can really use that to your advantage as well. Now, you've also got some cool command models, which you can have if you've got the unit of 4, so you can get a Hornblower, which will give +1 to your charges, and a Banner Bearer for +1 bravery as well as getting a little pistol shot out of your leader for an extra attack at 4-3, rend 1, damage D3 for a nice little ranged attack there as well. So this is definitely a great starting place. With a unit of Mournfang pack and a Huskard on Stonehorn, you can pick these up to sort of have these combined together, you can actually grab a Start Collecting Beast Claw Raiders box set to pick up both these units for a nice cheap discount, and a great way to start your Thunderbellies. But let's look at how we can expand upon this. And so, where do we go to next to pick up some more units for our Thunderbellies Ogor Mawtribes army? Well, first of all, I'd suggest picking up more Mournfang. They are really what this sub-faction is all about, so grabbing another box or two of Mournfang will definitely serve you well in the future playing with your Thunderbellies army. With that being said, there's not a lot more to say about the Mournfang, but they definitely do get more out of them having more in this army because you can have more units that are able to run and charge. Now, on top of that, I would suggest maybe a Huskard on Thundertusk is a solid option to pick up for this army. Normally not the best priest in the game. The fact you're going to get +1 to probably what is the best prayer available to them, I think is something decent. So you're going to get +1 to your prayer, which is going to be the Keening Gale prayer, which is cast on a 4+ normally, but a 3, and then you can get more benefits if you're around other Thundertusks. You pick a friendly monster or Mournfang pack unit holder of an 18-inch, and you can add 3 to their move characteristic. So this is just going to further increase the speed of your Mournfang pack units or your other monsters in the army. So definitely a pretty solid option actually for this army. Lastly, the 2 Frostlords are really good options. You can build a much more defensive Frostlord build, sort of using anti-buffs and stuff like that, and using debuffs around it with the Frostlord on Thundertusk, and the Frostlord on Stonehorn is just an offensive tank. Both of them definitely are useful. I'd probably go the Frostlord on Stonehorn out of the 2 first, and then bring a Thundertusk in later if you've got room for that second Frostlord. They work really well in tandem together. But for me, yeah. These are the last 2 models I'd probably bring into the force. The Huskard and the Mournfang are definitely the ones where I would start looking at after you've got those initial sort of models in your force to start with. With that all said, let's get looking at a little sample army list we put together for the Thunderbellies, so you can all see how this comes together. Use our list if you want, or indeed use it as inspiration to build your own unique version of it. And so here we go. This is the Thunderbellies army we've put together. Now we've gone Ogor Mawtribes and Mortar Realm Shaiish. This is just for narrative reasons. For those who don't know, the Beast Claw Raiders actually freed the gods of winter, and they will continuously chase them and make the winter. So a Shaiish themed Beast Claw Raider army is very, very thematic and narrative driven. So if you're looking for maybe some inspiration for your basing and your schemes, something death-wise and Shaiish themed would definitely go well into fitting with the narrative of what Beast Claw Raiders are all about. Now, grand strategy, we've gone for Predator's Domain with this army. The ability to get run and charge and all our Mournfangs, to be moving around the board edge, and also potentially other things as well to give us some extra movement and charge distances. I think this is a really solid grand strategy to pick for this army, as we're not going to generally have all that many monsters in the army. For a Triumph, we've gone Bloodthirsty. We don't have any rerolls because we haven't currently got a Frostlord in this army, and you can probably drop this once you take a Frostlord in your force and pick something like +1 or Wound, or indeed a auto pass battle shock, because that could be really important on one of your Mournfang pack units if you lose a couple in a turn. But yeah, Bloodthirsty for now for the rerollable charge. Now, Huskard on Stonehorn is our general. He's got a Blood Vulture. The reason why I've gone for the Blood Vulture is because of the Thunderbellies' command ability requires 1 or more wounds to be inflicted on a unit. This is a good way to try and get a little mortal wound out of this if you fail to do something in other phases of the game. So you can potentially throw out that Blood Vulture, get a mortal wound, and get those rerolls with your command ability thanks to the Mournfang's ability Rip and Tear. And so, on top of that, we've got the artifact Shadowstone. This is the one where all enemy units treat terrain features within 12 inches of the bearer as having the deadly terrain scenery rule in addition to any others. And then we've got the Mawtribe Metal Cruncher, which is really cool for artillery and high armor save units of a 4/3 or 2+. You just do d6 mortal wounds to them at the start of the combat phase, which is pretty cool. Battle line wise, we've got 2 units of Mournfang pack. I like them with Gargant Hackers preferred. Both reinforced once, and then this whole army, 3 units, it just wraps up in a battle regiment. You could, if you want, definitely split one of those Mournfang pack units up into 2 units of 2, so you've got 4 units on the table, or indeed you could split this up entirely and it still would all fit inside a battle regiment nice and easily. It's really up to you how you want to use those numbers and how you want to equip them as well. But coming up to 980 points out of 1,000, 2 reinforced units in the list that we've written, but it doesn't always have to be. No allies and 60 wounds on the table is a very solid amount of wounds available. It is worth mentioning, I should say, as well, if you do split up those Mournfang pack units, they're not going to be able to have the banner bearers and stuff like that inside the units, as they're required to have 4 models to get that full command. As mentioned, a 1-drop army though, 60 wounds. This is pretty solid for an Ogor Mawtribes army. It's a lot of meat for your opponent to have to chew through, because they do all have a pretty decent armor save as well, and that Stonehorn's got a built-in invulnerable or ward save. Well, thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, if you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our fine little community here, you can do so by joining our Discord server, which is linked down in the description of the video. Also, if you'd like to help support the channel more financially, you can do so either by joining our Patreon or YouTube members, of which you'll find both the links of both of them down in the video's description as well. As a special thank you to everyone who does support the channel via Patreon and YouTube members, we'd like to give a shout out to them all. So a special thanks to our Patreons, Christian Weir, James Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lowell, Outer and Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nilsson, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater and Samuel. And a special shout out to our YouTube members as well: Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Chris Rollis, Ronya, Vinny, Lockloric, the Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Sean Scott, DS, and Ariana Edwards. And a special thanks lastly to, first of all, Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork you can see pictured here for the channel. And a special shout out to Xmorphic, who does all the amazing background work for our Discord server. You're both absolute legends. Thank you all for watching once again. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay safe, everyone. Stay well. Most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.